Hello, my second grade friends. Today we are going to be practicing telling time. So what I'm going to do first is go through a couple examples and then you will do some work on your own. So let's look at this problem first. It says James has baseball 15 minutes after 5. So what I'm thinking to myself, well, if it was 5 o'clock, right? If we showed 5 o'clock on this clock, we already have the hour hand pointing to 5, and this is how we would show 5 o'clock. But it says 15 minutes after 5, so we have to draw the minute hand to show the time. So then we're going to look at this minute hand, and if we wanted to show 15 minutes, we would have to start here and say 5, 10, 15. This would be 15 minutes after 5. So this is how we would show 5:15 on the clock, and this is just another way to say 5:15 or 15 minutes after 5. If we wanted to write 5:15 on this digital clock over here, we could put the 5. Again, this place is going to be where the hour hand is pointing. So that hour hand that's right here, the shorter hand, is where we are going to put that number. And then we are going to look at the minute hand pointing to the 5, and that is going to go in this space right here. Let me make that a little bit brighter. So we have 5:15. So let's move on to another example. It says Julie has cheerleading 3:30. Now we've been learning about this, and it is a little bit tricky because of the wording. So we hear 3:30. And again, we have to draw the minute hand to show the time. So we already see that this hour hand is pointing between the 3 and the 4, and it is 3 o'clock. So where do we put that hour hand? That minute hand, I'm sorry. So if we were to think of the clock as a whole, and we think 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and then we have 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Half of that is 30 minutes. So 3 o'clock, or halfway around the clock, is pointing at the 6 or 30 minutes. So this would be 3 o'clock, and how we would write that in our digital clock over here is we would write 3, and then let's check the minutes. We have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 3:30, or 3 o'clock. Let's look at this one. It says Abby has gymnastics at 1:15. So this is a little bit tricky. So a quarter means broken into 4. We can think of like how we have 4 quarters in a whole dollar. So we break that into 4. So if we broke this clock into 4, just like this, we have 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, 4 space. We have 4 quarters. So if it was 1:15, just 1 quarter, we can go ahead and, let's see, draw the minute hand to the 15, because, again, if we broke that clock into, let me do this with a different color, if we broke that clock into 4 different sections, this would be 1 o'clock. So we are going to write 1 over here because it is the hour hand is pointing at the 1, and then the minute hand is pointing at 15 minutes. So Abby has gymnastics at 1:15, or another way to say that is 1:15, and we can show that on the clock just like this. Now let's just do a nice clean copy of that just so we can see that. I'm going to go ahead and draw that minute hand in, pointing to the 15 minutes, or 1:15. This next one says Mark has soccer practice 25 minutes after 7. So if we think 25 minutes after 7, well, this one's easy for us because we can start, if this was 7 o'clock and we want to find 25 minutes after 7 o'clock, we'd say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So we would mark that minute hand to the 25. And that is how we would write 25 minutes after 7 o'clock. We made sure we drew the minute hand to show the time, and we're going to go ahead and write that in our clock over here. So again, that shorthand, which is the hour hand, goes in this section. So we have 7:25, or 25 minutes after 7, and we showed it in this clock over here. Today I'm going to ask you to complete page 522, numbers 1 through 6. If you want a challenge, you could finish the rest of that back page, or you can go on to our math grid. I'm sorry, that's what I meant. The math grid, and I will put another short video just describing what game to go on because it could be a little bit tricky on the math grid. I will see you guys on Wednesday. I hope you have a great weekend.